Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. We're live. All right. This is going to be a good one. This is a good morning. Got the water, got the coffee, ready to learn, ready to have some marketing conversation. And my guest is so cool. Such a good, there's so much here. So he is bold. He's driven, the marketing leader, but he's a speaker as well. You see him at conferences left and right. And he's a multi-instrument musician. I'll call him a rock star, honestly.
Wow.
Vice President of Marketing at Sigstr, Justin Keller. How are you, sir?
I am great now. I've never heard someone say so many nice things about me. So I am officially the best I've ever been.
That's it, man. Great and powerful. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Good, good. I'm so glad you're here. This is the Marketing Leadership Series. And this is talking to those senior level thought leaders in marketing, understanding how do you look at the world? How do you look at marketing? How do you approach things? So we're going to dive into your brain like little marketing parasites and learn from you today. But first, I want to pass you this. Now, it's kind of heavy, but I've been working out. This right here, that's Thor's hammer. And so take that. I know, but you got it. You got it. So take Thor's hammer, smash for me some kind of bogus marketing strategy, some misconception, whatever just drives you bonkers. You hear it out there and you want to set the record straight.
Let's go ahead and smash a 3-letter word called the MQL.
Ooh.
I think, and this is something that I am guilty of too, and have been. I mean, since I started doing kind of SaaS marketing, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of money building out, hiring people to help me build out, tuning and tweaking lead scoring frameworks that would help me say, okay, I'm generating leads, but how many MQLs am I generating? And I would look at an MQL as my KPI, another
Sure.
awful 3-letter word. But marketing qualified leads, I think it's days. If they're not already gone, they're numbered. I think that it's as marketers, traditional B2B digital marketers need to move on from the MQL. I think that back in the day when it was just all about generating leads, sure, that's a great metric, but these days, you can get leads anywhere you want. You can get them to click on things. You can get them to read whatever you want. That doesn't mean they're marketing qualified, right? I think what marketers need to start looking on, and I think this is actually, I think there's been a sea change in B2B marketing, where marketers are responsible for revenue now. I think looking at pipeline and revenue is probably the best guiding light for a marketer on whether or not they're doing a good job. We can have an argument about semantics, about qualified demos, or where kind of like I think there's an inflection point in the funnel where marketing says, okay, this is one that's ready for sales. But I think that defining a sales ready lead by the combination of a lead score and some behavioral, technographic, firmographic data,
Stars and flames.
Exactly. I think that's the wrong way to look at it these days. I think it's giving you a lot of false positives, and you're probably missing a lot of actual positive indicators in your funnel.
So now, shots fired here, bright and early on the Hardcore Marketing Show. The MQL is the sacred idol of many a marketer, and we're saying its days are numbered, man. The writing's on the wall. It's coming down. So what has led you to believe that? Have you seen the misalignment that comes from that, or what kind of things happen when you just get so like tunnel vision focused on an MQL?
I think there's two things that can happen, and I don't think either of them are any good. The first one, and I think this is probably more common, is a marketer will build out an MQL program. They'll understand like these are the leads I feel like sending to sales. When you have a rough quarter or 2 quarters where you're not hitting your numbers, sales is going to get pissed. You're not sending me the right leads. You're not sending me qualified leads. So then the marketer's going to go back, tweak the framework a little bit, make it a little harder to get a lead passed across. Pretty quickly, sales is going to come back and saying, I'm not getting enough leads, right? You're never going to win that battle, right? And I think the other thing that can happen is you don't get that feedback loop from sales, right? And you just feel like you're generating MQLs and you're getting better at tricking leads into hitting whatever threshold it is. And you're not really improving your marketing at all. I think, good marketers are responsible for revenue because it makes you focus on the entire funnel and the entire customer experience. And I think that it short circuits that misalignment with sales, right? If you can say to your sales leadership and your sales team, hey, I am just as concerned about hitting your number as you are. All of a sudden you get some cheerleaders, you get some people that are rooting for you and that want to help, rather than having this adversarial kind of relationship with your sales team.
Boom. There it is. It's all about getting everyone on the same team, right? And so nothing says I'm not on your team like I have a different scoreboard than you do.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Exactly.
I'm over here, I'm being measured on soccer goals and you're being measured on touchdowns. Like it has no impact. And then trying to go into a board meeting or present to the VPs and tell them how many touches and passes you had on the soccer ball, and they're like, "What are you even talking about, Mark?"
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like the guy that shows up at the sporting game and like if they score a touchdown, he's like, "Go!" You're like, "No, wrong."
Exactly. Yeah, that's something I do. I'm so bad at sports that is probably something I do. I think and here's an analogy I think that will resonate with you. I think it's you're different teams probably, but you're fighting the same battle, right? And I tend to think of it as marketing is more of the Air Force. You're softening up targets. You're kind of, helping map the territory and informing, the ground troops. The Marines are the sales team, right? They're the ones that are going in, doing the hand-to-hand combat.
Wait. Who's sales in this?
The Marines.
I love that example.
Yeah. Like they're the ones that are going in and actually getting work done, engaging, I think that the metaphor probably starts there because they're going in trying to develop relationships and, kind of further the business along. But I think that's kind of, two different tactics to win the same battle.
Right. And I would further that account management is in the Army because they're good at, going in there and holding on to something.
Yes.
The Marines to sort of police the area.
Exactly.
Get them out of there and get there, someone who can nurture them.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Comment who the Navy is in this situation, because I can't figure it out, but I'm sure someone.
Who is the Navy in this situation? Finance? I'm not sure.
I don't either.
Someone out there, some Navy person triggered right now. You forgot me. I'm at the Coast Guard. Oh, sick. All right. Well, this is good, man. So the MQL is dead, and this reminded me too. I was having a conversation, previously on the show with James Buckley. I don't know if you know him. Say What Sales, #Say What Sales. Shout out James. And he's an SDR. He's like SDR for life. A lot of folks see SDR as like that stepping stone to higher sales. And he's like, no, man, the qualification's where it's at. And he shared with me what they do to qualify a lead. I've heard of BANT and certain things, but there's a lot of work that goes in for them to pass a lead to their sales counterpart. And I thought back to the idea of MQL, we're calling it a marketing qualified lead. We're putting our stamp of approval on this thing. And sometimes we've only just asked them one question, or there's a couple flames or stars, but our reputation's on the line if we're saying this is qualified.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
We're like shooting ourselves in the foot.
And that's a great way to lose your credibility with your sales team, right? If you're saying, hey, this is qualified and it turns out to be, dog shit leads, your sales team's not going to trust you.
Right. It's that same cycle, right?
Yeah. And you can't win that back. That's a really tough thing to lose.
That's cool. So do you have a really good alignment at Sigstr where you're at?
I feel like I don't think it's ever perfect. I'd say we've got better alignment than I've ever had though in my time doing this. And I think it is for a couple of reasons. One, we are, the marketing team's responsible for pipeline. Like if the pipeline's not there, it's not the sales team's fault, it's our fault, right? And so for that reason, I don't even look at I've got leads on a dashboard somewhere. I look at leads, but I don't look at it and be like, oh, leads are down this week, right? I'm not focused on leads. I'm focused on how many at-bats are we getting our sales team? Who's willing to take the demo? How can I help them make?
You own the sales pipeline?
Yes.
Wow. Or at least filling it?
Yes. So it's us and the sales dev team. So we are very tightly aligned and we're very account focused. And so we really, our head of sales dev sits next to me. And it is a, very, very tightly linked relationship.
And if you're sitting next to each other, you can't make fun of each other, or maybe you can.
Yeah. Maybe, we can. Of course we can. But we're also, it's just you get really close when you kind of have a tough metric like that, and you
Right.
stick together. Like, we're in this together, so we're fast friends as a result.
And that's good, because I would say one of the challenges when I hear, and probably other people hear, marketing, with sales dev owning that pipeline generation, you're like, well, what if I send the perfect leads over to sales and they don't friggin' call them, or they don't think it's like, it's that translation where things get lost.
Yeah. And that's tough. And I don't know if there's a good answer for that or not. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I trust. There's always the trust but verify aspect of it,
Yes.
right? Um,
Imagine that.
we have tough revenue targets though, right? And if I have to believe that they are strong enough that they are going to take every action necessary to make sure that they're, building their book of business.
Right.
And they know that I'm there to help them, right? And that's maybe another thing, right? If they trust that, we're right there to help them, not just kind of get them a demo or a lead or whatever you want to call it, but to help them close that deal. They want to honor the partnership, I think.
I like that.
Yeah.
Honor the partnership. And so you said trust in one direction, and then you said they're going to trust you back. I get it. It's like you have to have that mutual trust relationship, because when you said, I trust that they're doing everything they can to work on those leads. I don't know if everyone does. I think the biggest complaint, and you hear talk of SLAs and agreements, is because, of course, marketing never gives you enough leads, but then sales never calls the leads, I think is
Yeah. I remember when I was setting up my first marketing automation instance, they were helping me set it up, and they were like showing me a little trick, like, hey, if you generate a lead and you pass it over to sales, you can build this workflow in such a way that, if they don't follow up with it in 24 hours, they'll get a reminder email, hey, follow up with this lead. And then if they haven't followed up with it in 48 hours, we can CC your CEO on it so that they know that the salesperson didn't follow up with that lead. And I was at the time like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever, right?
I thought so too.
And now I'm just like, what the hell is going on in the sales team where they're not following up on a great lead that I need to get the CEO involved? I think that's a bigger systemic problem than,
True.
maybe the salesperson, right? I think that there's kind of a cultural problem going on if the sales team's not, following up with things like that.
Do you think like trust but verify, or?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we do. And we've got we have weekly sales meetings where we look, we have the exact same dashboard that we look at. We went into, what reports are building that dashboard, agreed on all the numbers. So we have the same source of truth, right? And it's one of those things where I think it also helps build that trust, because you know what? If you are sharing the same numbers, you're looking at them week over week, and if marketing's having a tough quarter or a tough month, you can call it out early in front of everyone and be like, you know what, marketing, I don't know what's going on. Here's what I think's going on. I think we're seeing this, this, and this happen in our funnel or our inbound or our outbound or whatever. And here's what we're going to do to fix it, but let's all be aware of it and try and fix it together.
I like that communication. Communication seems like it'd be a big deal. Anything else you recommend? I mean, you've got this mutual trusting relationship. What kind of things have fed into that?
I think,
or just pixie magic fairy dust.
It's magic fairy dust. Yeah. No, I think it's just like, I mean, it's making sure that like that meeting, which is, what is today? Tuesday. We've got it at the end of the day today. We cancel it once in a while, but no, we try and have it as frequently as possible. We're all very concerned with hitting our number and making sure that we're checking in with each other every week, and even more frequently than that. Like if little, things happen, checking in to make sure we know what's going on. The summers are usually a little bit slower for us. So we went last quarter talking about that. Like, hey, we know historically summers are a little slower. Here are the things the marketing team's going to do to try and make sure that we don't suffer too much. What do you think? And getting buy-in like that. Like, and it's one of those things, because we own the revenue number. I mean, that's scary. I think that's a scary thing for a lot of marketers.
I think so.
Let's talk about that, because
sure, let's do it.
Shit, I kind of went into marketing because I didn't want that pressure originally.
Sales otherwise.
Exactly. I mean, I used to think it was a lot more like Mad Men, where it's just like you get to be creative and drink a lot. And
yeah.
It's I think.
Do you have a mini bar behind you somewhere?
No, we do have a well-stocked fridge though.
Okay, good.
Here. Yeah. But I think, I say this a lot, and I hope I think it's just super true. Like, I think the more closely a marketer is associated with revenue, the better that marketer will be.
Oh wow!
Right? You're not gonna, because your decision making will be put through that filter, and it'll be a lot more sober. You'll be a lot more careful. you'll consider a lot more of the entire customer journey from brand awareness all the way down to renewal.
I love that. The more closely a marketer is associated with revenue, the better the decisions will be.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. We need to get
So,
you a bronze plaque with that. We put it on walls. But it's
yeah.
so true. And so it's this kind of contrasting thing. The closer you get to revenue, the scarier it is, but the better decisions you're going to make.
It's totally true, right? Like if it's life or death, you're going to be
Yeah.
carefully weighing your decisions, right? And
Right.
it's not quite that serious, but it's pretty serious.
Yeah, I would say. So how you're a brave marketer then. How did you get there?
How did I get there? Like, I mean,
Well, no, like what's enabled you to be able to like get so close to the revenue, knowing that you're dancing in this scary zone?
I think it was gradual, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think
Okay.
I coming up would always get into tough conversations with my CEOs or my sales leaders or whatever.
Right.
And after a while, I learned, like, you know what, like these tough conversations are happening because of revenue, not because of MQLs or because of lead flow, right? You
Right.
could probably trace everything back up to that, but at the end of the day, that's the stem of the problem. So why don't we just talk about that first,
Right.
right? I could drive more leads. Shit, I can buy as many leads as you need right now.
Yeah.
It's not going to change the problem that is driving this conversation. Let's talk
That's
about
true.
that. And I think, there's revenue doesn't come from leads. It comes from all over the place. It could come from your existing customer base. Maybe if you're
Oh,
having
true.
a sluggish quarter, don't focus on inbound. Focus on how can we drive more value out of our customers. Um, I think it is scarier, but it opens up a lot more options, right? You can start to think a little more strategically about what's going to drive the business. I mean, the whole reason your business exists is to create revenue, to create value for your shareholders. Marketing's, not gonna, like, focus on that. Like, focus
Yeah.
on creating value. Don't focus on driving leads.
Well, this is awesome. So, I mean, tell me, do you have an overall approach to marketing, like a all-encompassing strategy, or how do you just approach things? I mean, I know it's like asking Elon Musk how to build a rocket, but at the same time, when you just look at marketing as a whole, is there something that
That's
comes
just,
to mind?
it's a good, big, and tough question.
Like you just started today at Sigstr, that kind of thing. You just started, you didn't, but let's
Yep.
say you
Yeah.
did.
Let's say I did. I think that there is a basic foundation, like operational foundation, you need to set up, right? Like, you need to kind of understand how you need to report on how the machine's working,
Okay.
right? And by the machine, I mean whatever combination of CRM, marketing automation, whatever marketing technology you're using.
Right.
How are those things going to show up? I think is the first thing, right? How do I
Right.
report on it? Because if I can't measure it, how do I improve it, right? So once I
Right.
can measure it, then I can start to baseline. Okay, well, here's where the most of our new customers come from. Let's make those channels work better. Here's the channels that aren't working so well. How do we make them better? What can we bolt on there? Once that, I think really then it becomes to creating a great brand. I think brand is so important and it's so difficult. I when I started out marketing, I always made the joke that I'm in marketing because I feel like I'm 85% funny and 25% good at math, and
Right.
and I would just try and stay as far away from math as possible. But then once I realized, what, I really want to do marketing full bore. I want to be a marketing leader one day. That means I need to get really good at math. And
Really good? I mean, how good do
really
we have
good,
to get?
really good. Well, here's where it becomes
Bunch of
tricky,
kids in
right?
college are going to their career office and they're changing their major right now.
Yeah, it might. So I went. I went to college for psychology and English.
Okay.
I did a little. I did kind of like I hedged it. There was this honors program, this honors business program that I took because I get the business certificate, but I didn't have to take all the scary math courses. I only had to
Mm.
take like one accounting course, and I did myself a disservice by doing that. By the way, what happened is like 6 or 7 years later, I went back and got my MBA, and I did take
Wow.
all the big, scary finance courses and the quant classes. I went to like a super math heavy MBA program because I felt like that was my weak spot.
Okay.
And if I want to do this full bore, I need to be really good at math. And I'm pretty good at math now, and it's not the hardest part. I think building a
Interesting.
brand,
Yeah.
the messaging, like all that really squishy stuff that seems from the outside looking in so obvious and easy is the most difficult part of the job. –
Why do you think that is?
because there's no right answer. Math is binary,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But like, like even if you can test and measure everything, but even still, it's still very hazy, right? And I think that building a brand, getting your messaging and positioning right, it's a crapshoot. You
Mhm.
can get close, you can improve, but you can't be like, yeah, this is the right answer. This is the best possible of all scenarios.
Right. Whereas in math, unless you're dealing with some negative random number that
Yeah,
doesn't even exist, usually you can come to an answer. Even
exactly.
then, you can come to an answer. But the squishy stuff may or may doesn't. There's no formula.
No.
And you could invent one, but it may not be the actual thing. It's not math. It's human.
Exactly. And it's
People.
different for every business. Every business
Yeah.
works differently. Every marketplace responds differently. It's just there's no right answer. And I think that's where it gets really tough. And that's probably why, marketing is afraid of a revenue number, because it's like, I've got to be responsible for something that doesn't have a correct answer, but I'm also responsible for kind of, making sure the paychecks of my coworkers show up.
Wow. It clicked in my head. You're right. I play in this gray area, and then now I somehow have to be responsible for this black and white area.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's kind of scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I'm not even sure how this works, but I'm going to own the number that comes out the back end.
Exactly.
Wow. The black box that is marketing. You mentioned brand as being one of the important things, the overall approach. Do you see that becoming more and more important these days? I mean, back in the day, it was like the B2C thing, Coca-Cola with the little polar bear drinking Coke, but now it seems like, Sigstr is cool. There's a lot of these cool brands that in the B2B world.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely hell yes. It's important. I
Yeah.
think more than ever. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like, it used to be, 20 years ago, B2B software was the most boring possible thing ever. Everything was like a navy blue logo, and we help work, suck slightly less. And
Yeah.
these days, B2B, people wear jeans to work now. People, millennials don't really distinguish between personal life and work life. I think B2B is B2C now. I think just, some of the dynamics are slightly different. So creating a consumer-ish brand for B2B, I think is incredibly important, because now all of a sudden, B2B brands are something that people want to be associated with. Like, there are B2B brands that are cool now. And I think, in the past, that was never a possibility. And so I think building a brand that people want to that can engage with humans is super important, right? I
Yeah.
think there's so many brands, and like, you're even seeing, like, companies like Salesforce, I think, have done a really good job of taking a megalithic brand but
Yep.
tried to make it human. They've got polar bears and Eskimos and stuff going on.
Yep.
And
Astro, the little scout. Yeah.
exactly,
All those things.
right. I think, it's easier for startups to do it and to be cute and fun. I think there's a trap there. Like, you don't want to be too cute and fun. You want people to take you seriously, but you want to be a human brand. You want people to understand that, there's a bunch of people with souls in this building that are building a B2B product for you.
Yeah.
I think that's important to express.
Yeah. How do we do that? I mean, do we take pages out of the B2C book? No longer, thankfully, I'm glad we're not all just walking around like IBM. Sorry, IBM,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
problem.
Yeah, yeah,
We're all different now. We don't have to be in suits and wearing the same tie. So
exactly.
how you mentioned earlier, you want to be cool, you want to be out there, be human, but not be silly, unless that's your brand. But
Yeah,
how do you balance that? How do you lead your group? Because you've got a cool brand. I mean, even the logo, it's not silly, but it's fun. It's not like
yeah,
block letters. It's cursive, like all
yeah.
those
And
things.
for sure, I can't take credit for all of it. I think the answer. I don't think there's one answer for any of this. I think this is the problem,
Yeah.
the challenge of marketing, right? There's not a right answer. I think it's different for every business. What I did, the first thing I did at Sigstr was to take inventory of our culture, right? Like, we have awesome people. We have just the best people working here. I love working with my entire team here.
It
And we
seems
have a
like
really great
I've
culture.
met a couple, and it was memorable. Yeah.
They're the best. They're the best. And I think that's the brand, right? Is the people, right? I think the brand is the sum total of all of the work people do, right? Not just the marketing team, like, but the engineering and product team, even like, accounting, like, they support everything that creates the product and the brand that shows up in the marketplace. So the first thing I did when I got to Sigstr was put together a survey to send the entire company. If Sigstr was a car, what kind of car would it be?
Oh,
You
cool.
know, what 5 words would you use to describe Sigstr's product? What 5 words would you use to describe Sigstr's brand? And, you know, I'd do things, you know, I'd take that data and I'd see what picture did it create, right? What of those 5 words that people gave me that described our brand, what were the most frequently used words, right? And maybe those have some bearing on, you know, our tagline or our you know, boilerplate or whatever. I really think the brand is, I think if brand matches the product and the culture, it clicks with people,
Mm,
right? It becomes authentic, it becomes real, it becomes something that's easy to express and to kind of make something out of. If you're trying to force a brand onto a product or a culture,
yeah,
I think it feels fake. I think
feels fake.
people, they might not, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't give you that feeling. And I think that, you know, we're talking a lot about squishy stuff. That feeling might not be quantifiable. It might not show up with everybody, but I think some people have, you know, finely tuned bullshit detectors. It'll be like, you know, I'm not really, I don't agree with, you know, the
Yeah,
brand expression that I'm seeing.
for sure. I got an email a couple weeks ago, and the first line was, "I am writing this email to you personally right now on my computer from Florida." I was like, it was like a marketing email. I was like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Second line was, um, I'm not sending this email to my whole list. But you are. Third was, I've looked at your funnel. I'm like, no, you
No,
haven't.
I haven't.
You lied to me in 3 seconds. Your opening salvo was like 3 lies. So it felt bad.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to like this whole B2C thing. People like, I
Yeah.
mean, man, you know, if you can't show me that you care about my company, why should I care about yours, right? And I think that's where the humanity comes into a brand, right? Like you need to understand that this is a real person that understands you and your business. And maybe our product or solution can help, maybe not, but at least I understand who you are and how I want to help. And you can't do that in a mass email way.
Right. No, you really can't. You you totally can't do that. So back to that brand email when you first got to Sigstr, the question was, I thought it was really cool. I can't wait to email my team. Um, if this company was a car, is that what you said? If this company or this culture
This, if Sigstr, yeah, I think so. I kind of the company, right?
was a car, what would it be? And then, by the way, what did the team?
This was shocking. This shocked me. I felt shocked. Um, it was a multiple choice thing, and I think I had like, you know, it was like a Tesla.
Yeah.
It was like a minivan. It was like a luxury SUV. I forget what they all were. Like, you know, a nice-ish sedan. And it came back with a tie, and it was a tie between a Tesla and a minivan. And that
Oh no.
minivan thing like scared the crap out of me at first. I'm like, no one wants to be a minivan, right?
No, I
But
refuse
then
to drive one out of
no way,
principle.
no way. But then I sat back and I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? No one's like, you know, when I grow up, I want to drive a minivan. But so many people end up with minivans, right?
Right.
Because they're
They have
utilitarian.
room.
They move the kids around. They're
Yeah.
easier. And I'm like, you know what? There are a lot of positive attributes about the minivan, right? It gets stuff done, right? They're necessary. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's actually a good thing for a brand to have, to be easy to use, to be utilitarian. Um, but it was also a Tesla, right? Like kind of the market leader, most expensive premium brand,
Yeah.
cool. And so what I ended up doing was kind of smushing the two together. And there's the Tesla SUV thing with the gull wings. I don't think
Yeah.
it's a very attractive car, but I think it kind of checked both boxes about being, you know, kind of a premium offering that also is great for the family and for getting things, you know, carted around here and there.
Right. And maybe it doesn't cost $1 million and
Yeah,
maybe gets things done and moves things along.
exactly.
Those people just haven't driven a Tesla, so they don't know.
They don't. Exactly.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so you asked that. You asked about the 5 words. Any other questions did you ask the team that
Oh man, it's
stood
been a while.
out?
I mean, it was probably 20. It was probably too long in retrospect. I think if I was to do it ever again, I'd do fewer ones.
Oh,
Um,
it was like 20 questions.
it was
Yeah.
a lot, and I asked, like, you know, who do you think our peers are, right? It doesn't have to be another marketing technology. Just who do you think companies like us are? Just kind of get a sense of the other brands out
Right.
there that felt, you know, resonant with us. Um, I think I asked you about personas, like, you know, describe the person that you think loves Sigstr or buys Sigstr, things like
Yeah.
that. Just like try to look at the company from a few different, vantage points to get a holistic picture of it. And once I was done, it's not like the data told me the whole story, right? It didn't, but it kind of gave me a set of boundaries that I wanted to play within.
Yeah. It like just it started a bunch of stuff to start the conversation.
Yeah.
It's like that's cool. How do you feel like tech fits in? We're talking about Teslas and we're talking about, your overall approach to marketing. And you mentioned you got to get the operational performance down. You got to have the marketing automation platform, talking to the CRM, and your funnels mapped out, and you have to have those things in place. And I mean, tech comes up there. And I know you are tech as well. How do you view technology, and what's its place in marketing? How does it fit in?
I think that is a awesome question, and I think that I think we're in a good spot right now where there's too many. No, to be honest, there are too many freaking technologies out there right now, right?
What's that chart that shows like
the
6,000
Scott Brinker's Martech 7,000. So it's more than 7,000. Like it used to be the Martech 5,000, now it's 7,000, and the first line in the report's like it's like 7,800.
I was talking to him. He said it like was just it was under 1,000 or something. It's just a couple hundred the first time he did it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this seems like this will be an easy content to create.
Yeah. So it used to be the kind of thing where it's like, when there was only 1,000 pieces of technology, whatever you bolted on probably would be somewhat helpful. But now it's just kind of like there's too much.
Right.
I think tech is super important. Like at Sigstr, I think it's, in terms of our marketing budget, it goes headcount, and then it's either events or tech, like our subscriptions to technology. And events are expensive, right? So that gives you an idea of just, how we think about tech. I think it's super important, but I think a couple things. One, the tech needs to be aligned with your desired outcomes, right? It's easy to get like, hear really impressive stories about how this piece of technology tripled, whatever registrations. Right. If that's not in line with your goals, then A, probably a good red flag. But B, I think you need to have super talented people that have the skills and the time to use those tools appropriately, right. Which is the reason that we've invested in more technology than I think a lot of companies our size, is because our marketing team is just so damn good and talented that they know how to drive a lot of value out of those tools, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going, anything, Sigstr included, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And our customers that are really just, kicking the hell out of their goals with Sigstr are the ones that are resourcing it appropriately, that have a strategy for it, that are thinking about it in the right way to get the results that they want to get out of it. And I think it's true for any piece of technology that's out there.
Yeah, that's so true, man. And I hear you say have a strategy first before you dive into the tech. And it sounds like your crew does. They've used them before. They understand the strategic goal. And you said align it with the outcome, not just let's get this thing because it's cool and shiny and I got some swag from them at Dreamforce, but because it's going to help me, in this case, ideally build that pipeline for sales.
Yeah, exactly.
If yes, then do it. If no, then don't do it.
Exactly.
Don't spend the head count, the events, the tech, any of that if it's not going to help you with that aim.
Exactly.
So cool, man. Well, my question to you now is who are you? How did you become this math marketer extraordinaire? Take me back to little Justin, playing with math. Or how did you take me back to the little days.
It was everything has been totally accidental with me, man. I think, so what are the most important things? I think I moved around a lot when I was younger.
Okay.
So I didn't have, it was one of those things where it was miserable at the time, but having been in a lot of different places, having to kind of constantly make a lot of new friends, I think taught me a lot of valuable, kind of helped me be a little more worldly. Helped me kind of figure out how to make connections with people in the right way, and I think that's really important. And
so were your parents in the military or something? Or just
just moved a lot. I mean, yeah, my dad was a kind of a electronics executive, and
got it,
where the markets were, and so we just went along with it, and totally bummed out at the time, but I think looking back, super grateful for it.
What kind of places did you go to?
So I was actually, of all places, born in Indianapolis, where I am now, but I only lived here for 3 months. Exactly. So when I was like 3 months old, we moved to Phoenix, Arizona, spent over a decade in Salt Lake City, Minneapolis, Atlanta, California, back to Indiana for a while, back to California, and then finally, as of 2 years ago, almost back here in Indianapolis.
Wow. That
Yeah,
is a lot of travel.
it was.
Yeah. At first, though, almost all of them are Delta hubs. So it's kind of interesting.
Now that you say that, yeah.
So maybe Delta was following you around building hubs
It
wherever you
was.
went.
I think it was a long game for Delta because I'm very brand loyal to Delta now.
Yeah, right. It's a long tail.
Exactly.
So wow, yeah, I could see that. That is a lot of places. That's not just I moved once in elementary school. That's a
Yeah. So
that's
it was, yeah, exactly. It was tough but good. We did kind of settle we moved back to Indianapolis halfway through high school.
okay.
So I was super pissed off at that point. Like I was just fucking mad.
You're just mad. Yeah,
So I kind of didn't care about high school. I gave it, a good 60% of my effort and was not really thinking to the future at all, right? Didn't think, if I don't really, try hard in geometry, I'm not going to get a job one day. Was not looking at that at all. Just kind of focused on, being an angsty teenager, to be totally honest. And so it was one of those things where I got into college by the damn skin of my teeth.
but was that where music came up or?
I think yes, I think it had, I think it was a good outlet for it for sure. So like moving around a lot, like really always loved music, really wanted to play music, never had anyone to play music with. And so
You're constantly moving, right? You form a band,
exactly,
you'd be gone, 3 months later.
exactly. Yeah. And that did happen. It sucked.
Yeah.
That was, and so I just wanted to play everything myself, all of the instruments, and was really into the band Nine Inch Nails, and Trent Reznor produces all, like he would, or at least in the earlier days did, all the instruments, all the production, everything himself. And I was like, well, if he can do it, I'll do that too. Right. It couldn't be that hard. And it is actually pretty hard, turns out. But it just became like, that kind of became my outlet for sure.
Got it.
And so, I think that came out, but it was one of those things where I knew, like, I'm not a C student, right? I was pulling a straight C report card, which is not the kind of thing you get into a good college with. Right. So when I finally did get to college, it was one of those things where it's like, okay, fresh start. I am going to absolutely beat the crap out of college. And I did, right? Like, I ended up with kind of 2.5 majors in 4 years. Spent all my time in the library, didn't drink until I was 21. Like, I kind of was a very ascetic college student. And it was really like, and I think this is kind of been, I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I think a motivator for me since then is like, being able to prove someone wrong or doing something in spite of someone else has led me to a lot of bigger accomplishments.
That's cool. Who were you proving wrong in college? Was that?
I think that was more like myself or my high school teachers or people that were like, it was like one of those things. I think it was probably mostly myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
Is that,
not a student, like you knew it. Yeah. Absolutely.
And since then I've had, reasons to prove other people wrong, but it's always been one of those things where it's like, I know better. I can do better. I just need to, focus on it.
Makes total sense, man. That's what happened with me in the Marine Corps, right? Because all the other recruiters were like, Army was like, oh yeah, we want you. We'll give you 40 grand signing bonus. And the Air Force is like, our bonuses aren't as big, but you can choose whatever you want to do. And then the Marine Corps is like, first of all, no bonus. Second of all, we don't want you.
Really?
I was like, are you really? So just cue the Rocky music. And then, I just wanted to prove them wrong at that point. But
there's a lesson in there somewhere too, like for B2B marketers, like, how does your brand make something like that? You're not promising a $40,000 sign-on bonus. You're telling them, no, like, you got to do some work here for this. I don't know what that is, but there's something there. There's that kind of like, reverse psychology almost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can handle the software. I don't know if
exactly.
You want to be the VP of marketing. I don't know. I don't know if you have what it takes. And they're like, really? You think so? Well, watch this.
Exactly. Get down the street, check out our cheaper competitors, right? And
right.
They seem a little more your speed.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You're sending me to your. I don't like those guys. What did you go to school for? Did you have a sense of what you wanted to do? Oh, you psych, right?
Yeah. So I had no idea. It ended up working out really well. Like, I think psychology, English literature, business. Like, if you were to smash those three things together, I think it comes out as a marketer. I had
I
no idea
agree.
at the time though.
Yeah.
So I basically, um, took psychology because I had the most credits in it. And the time it was time to declare my major, I took an English major because I just really liked writing and reading.
Yeah.
And then the business thing was really just to hedge my bets. Like I want to get a job one day, right? So I entered this kind of honors program for basically it was like to help English majors get jobs one day.
Right.
And so that was there was no strategy there. I was just doing the things that I was interested in and wanted to learn more about, and I would recommend I do that all over again in the same way. I think it's really a bad idea for an 18-year-old to make a lifelong decision about what they want to do when they grow up and sign themselves up for $100,000 of debt to get there.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the
Um,
time, right? You go to
yeah,
law school and you're like, I hate law.
exactly.
Uh,
So
but yeah,
yeah,
you also, unless you're being, becoming a doctor or something, especially marketing, you're just getting different pieces of things. And that's why, as long ago as it was, I always like asking about the school thing, because sometimes it has nothing to do with marketing, but in a way it does. Whether someone's gone to school for economics, suddenly
yeah.
they can weave that in there. I mean, you as psych, there's like 1,000 things I'm sure that maybe not even aware of that you're using.
Oh, totally, totally. No, I do, and I remember back to those classes sometimes favorably, and like kind of when I'm thinking about whatever we're working on. But I also at the same time I don't know how many. I mean, I've probably hired 20 people in the past 5-6 years. I've never once required a college degree for them.
Right.
I don't think you need to. I mean, I think it's super valuable. I think it's an investment people should make, but I also don't feel like it's necessary. There's some people on my team that sidestepped college, went to programming school or whatever, uh, joined the workforce when they were 19, 20, and are some of like I am jealous of how quickly they got where they are. They're
Right.
more mature than I am now, and and are super talented.
Yeah, the same for a lot of the different results oriented type positions. If your graphics look amazing, like I don't
Yeah, who
care if you
cares?
grew up in Antarctica. Let's
Yeah,
roll. Let's do this. Or your output if you're a writer. And I mean, I think maybe sometimes there's a little polishing that can happen in school,
yeah, I agree.
writing and dealing with being dehydrated at 8 in the morning. But
Yeah,
other than that, like in practicing your writing, practicing whatever you need to do. But you're right. It's the results that matter the most.
I agree. Totally agree. Yeah, not. I would recommend people go to college, but I also don't think you need to be successful at what you do, as long as you've got the drive and the wherewithal to get there.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, that kind of leads into another question then. So if you were to look back on yourself when you were first getting in your marketing career, basically first getting into your career in general, I suppose, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Oh man, I would say first and foremost, like involve yourselves with really difficult decisions, right? Like I think it's easy to hide behind things like MQLs, for example,
Right.
to bring it full circle. Um, you know, Getting involved in tough, difficult decisions is a great way to build yourself professionally quickly, right? When you throw yourself into a tough situation, whether it's a job that you may be underqualified for, or a revenue number that you never really wanted to sign up for, getting yourselves in a really tough situation is a great way to steel yourself for what comes next, right? It's never going to get easier. It's never going to get easier. Go ahead and face really tough challenges before. And I didn't do that when I was starting off in my career. Goofed around a lot. Was kind of didn't take work or myself seriously, and it stunted my growth professionally way more than I would have wanted to. And what happened was, I was at a company. This is the first kind of non-founding member. Thought that as a byproduct of that kind of like I was entitled to a lot of stuff, and that's total bullshit, right? Like you're entitled to whatever you put out there. Um, and so, you know, on the one hand, it was great because I learned that lesson, but it slowed me down. Like what ended up happening was I went to business school, and after I graduated, I drove to San Francisco and tried to make a new career and a new life happen. And it was one of those things where I had, kind of ample numbers of ways to fail, right? Moving from
Sure.
Indianapolis to San Francisco, didn't really have a network out there, kind of had to just figure out how to make it on my own, and just kind of faked it till I made it. And I think
Yeah.
scared the shit out of me, but was also kind of the best thing that, I've done for my career.
Right. Right. I mean, because to your point, you could hide in the wings in some of these companies, whether it's the MQL thing or, even at whatever level you're at, if you just sort of stay within the safety zone or your comfort zone, even, you may be able to just coast. And
Yeah,
all that does is just burn the time from your life, your
yeah,
candle, right?
totally.
Whereas you can push.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
maybe you don't want to do that. I mean, if you want to just kind of do what you're doing, I think that's awesome. Like if you're happy coming to work and you're happy with
True.
what you're doing, don't feel like you need to, go and challenge the CEO on something or whatever. But if you
Did
do
you do
really want
that?
to grow, no. I mean, now I do. Now I think it's like you need to be challenging everything
Right.
all the time, right?
Right.
But if you want to become a leader in whatever you're doing, I think you do need to put yourself in really tough situations.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, agreed. Uh, do it intentionally, right? So
Yep.
if you're happy where you're at, awesome. But if you do want to go to the next place, don't think that just coasting and cruising is going to help out. I think you raised a good point too, because every if you're climbing a ladder or if you're going to get promotions or that next job, it actually is tougher, and there are crazy, like the highs are higher, the lows get lower,
Yep.
um, and so to prepare yourself for that, you said steel yourself for that, you need to start experiencing some of that at whatever level you're at, and
Exactly.
do that dance so that when you get to that next level, you're not completely shell shocked.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
And I
like
think
that,
it's a
man.
pretty tired adage, but it's like, you gotta take some big risks if you're gonna get any rewards.
I love that. I love that. So school, okay. So you school, and then you went out to San Fran. What happened? So you started doing a bunch of startups. Is that you just
Yeah.
got the startup land and
Yeah. I emailed every so what I did, I mean, let's get super tactical.
yeah,
I would every morning go to the coffee shop, get on Crunchbase, look at what companies in the San Francisco area had recently received funding, thinking
nice.
pretty soon they're going to need to hire people, especially marketing, if they just got some funding. So I would just find the email addresses of every CEO at those companies, shoot them an email, be like, look, I'm new to the area. I'm super highly motivated. Here's my resume. Let's talk. And one person emailed me back. His name was Beezer, and he was my first CEO in San Francisco. And he took a chance on me. Like, I was kind of before moving to San Francisco and more of a B2C tech side of things. Had never done B2B marketing and was super straight up with him. I was like, I haven't done B2B marketing before. I think I'd be good at it. And he's like, you don't need to worry about it. Everyone wears jeans now. And that was his line. And I was like,
Wow.
okay. And he really did take a chance on me. Like I didn't know how to use marketing automation. I'd never built a form or whatever. And he basically said, Justin, you need to drive and, acknowledging the irony now, but Justin, you need to drive leads for the sales team. Was like, okay, well, I guess I'll figure this out. And,
Yeah.
like went and talked to HubSpot. Like, hey, how do I use you to
Right.
do this or this or this or whatever?
Start learning. Start
Exactly. And I
pushing.
learned on the job. Like, I mean, if I was him, I don't know if I would have done the same thing, but he was
Right.
an
I
amazing
don't know
dude.
if I would have hired me. Now,
And
now, to kind of be transparent, how many CEOs did you think you emailed before you got that response? Because I think it's important to
easily
share.
100,
A hundred,
easily 100. Yeah.
right?
I mean, because it's not like that many companies are getting
Getting
funding on
funding.
Christmas every morning. And it wasn't like every single company. It would be kind of like, ones that were earlier stage or whatever. Um, Easily 100 though.
Right.
So 1% conversion rate for all those of you emailing CEOs to find a job.
That's cool, and it sounds like it was a good one too.
It was like I learned everything I needed to know. I mean, shit, within, 2 or 3 years, I was speaking at the Marketo conference. Like,
Wow.
here's how I'm, building my opportunity analyzer. Here's how I'm working with my sales team and operationalizing things. And it was just because like homeboy took a chance on me and gave me what I needed to succeed and, helped to groom me into a marketer. And, I was the only marketer at the time too. So I had no one to look up to. I had one person that was kind of like a 5 hour a week kind of marketing consultant
Right.
that was more senior, but that wasn't, a whole lot of leadership. And pretty soon had him say, you know what, you're in good hands now. You don't need to pay me anymore. I'm going to go off and do my own thing.
Right.
The company grew. I did get to hire my boss who ended up being an amazing mentor to me, and I still talk to and have tacos with anytime I'm in San Francisco. But it's one of those things where you just got to fake it till you make it. Like, as long as you
Yeah.
feel the pressure and you're driven by it, you're going to make it happen. You'll figure a way out.
Right. And you did. And then you're getting awards. Or seeing like best pipeline award, best content of the year, all these different accolades just from, just getting in a realm that maybe you're not qualified to even be in, and just learning.
Yeah. I think
Working
it's
it.
totally okay. There's that whole imposter syndrome thing people talk a lot about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you feel like that, I think that's a good thing. If
It
you
would describe that too, just for people.
So imposter syndrome is where you don't feel like you're worthy of whatever your role is, or whatever you're getting paid, or you don't feel like you've necessarily earned it.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in a position and you don't feel like you've earned it, that's because you haven't earned it yet. Like, you're in the role, but you haven't earned it yet, right? You still got some work to do. You've still got the pressure should be there more than ever. I think that's when, that stealing happens, when you become really strong. Is when if you feel that pressure because you got a big role, but you haven't earned it yet. That's when I think magic happens, and you learn how to make those tough decisions and have those tough conversations, and manage other people the right way.
I hadn't even thought of that, and I like how you turn that around. Oh, I'm not worthy. I don't belong here. Well, you're here, and so someone thinks you belong here. You just haven't earned it yet. I love that. That makes so much sense. And when you turn it that way, that kind of makes it exciting. That's like, hey, I just got promoted to the major leagues, and I got the higher level athletics, sports, business, whatever it is. I don't know if I belong here at this table with other VPs or whatever it is. And it's like, well, now's your chance.
Exactly, man. It's yours to lose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's good motivating pressure for me.
That's so cool, man. Well, sweet. Well, I wanted to talk real quick on Sigstr too, because I've been exposed to it, and you got well, how did that happen? How did you email another 100 CEOs to get there, or like how did that?
So how did I end up at Sigstr? So this was one of those things where the universe is kind of a jerk, in a good way. I'll explain what I mean here.
Yeah, sorry, universe. Sorry.
So we've been in San Francisco for about 8 years, and my wife, looks over to me one evening and is like, I think we should move back to the Midwest. We have family here. Not necessarily Indianapolis, but like within 3 hours of Indianapolis, right? So like Chicago or Nashville. I'm like, okay, great. Like, let's definitely start thinking about that. 18, 24 months. Let's think about doing that. And about 3 weeks later, I was on a flight to Indianapolis, right? Like, as soon as the universe heard me say Midwest, it's like, oh, okay, here you go. And this opportunity at Sigstr cracked open. And I don't know if I would have moved back here for any other company, to be totally honest. Nothing wrong, nothing against Indianapolis. It's just like, new adventures are fun and interesting to me. But the role at Sigstr kind of popped up. And I was talking to our CEO, Brian, from a conference room in San Francisco about the opportunity that he thought. And it was one of those things where I was like, wow, this is actually pretty incredible, right? Because when I thought about it, at first, you hear Sigstr, it's like email signatures, and you're like, okay, I guess that's interesting, but there's not a whole lot of growth there, right?
They just sit there in the bottom of your email address.
Right? But something clicked where I'm like, wait a minute, so you're putting dynamic call to action banner ads in every single email, right? And if you got, I didn't know the math that I know now, but if you got 100 employees, that's 1 million emails a year. Read differently, that's 1 million ad impressions a year.
I like it. I like the math.
Exactly. And so
how many employees? What was the math on that? If you
100 employees. So the average employee sends about 10,000 emails a year. If you have 100 employees, that's 1 million emails. It's actually, we've since done more and better math, and the average salesperson sends about 20,000 emails a year. So it's somewhere between, 1 million, 2 million emails a year if you got 100 employees at your company. And all of a sudden I realized, holy crap, that's an ad channel, right? Like,
yes,
display ads are, having been in digital marketing, I understand how they perform, and it's not always super great. But I was like, all of a sudden, like, you know what? That's because there's so much noise competing with display ads, right? If you go to ESPN.com, there's an ad, but there's also a bunch of slam dunks and scores and other ads that are competing for your attention. You're not going to really pay attention to anything. But an email is kind of like this little white Zen garden where there's some text up top. Here's my name. here's a banner that people are going to see.
Right.
And so as soon as that clicked to me, I'm like, holy crap, this is actually kind of brilliant. Um,
Yeah.
and so it was one of those things I just got so excited about. I'm like, I think we can do so many amazing things with this because it's new, it's different, but it's also familiar. Like people understand, everyone's gotten that email, hey, can you copy and paste this in your email signature? But no one's really exploited it the right way.
Not
Giving
everyone
up,
does it. Yeah.
no. You're right. No, not everyone does it. B, um, if they do it, it's like one image for one campaign that, who knows what it is.
That runs
But
out. It's now it's 401.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so what Sigstr does is gives a marketer global control over that email signature area to put an ad in. So A, it forces everyone to do it, but B, you can run hundreds of simultaneous campaigns.
Wow.
And it's targeting off of email addresses, right? It rides along with emails, so it has 100% deliverability or targeting accuracy. So you can run geolocation specific ads. You can run one-to-one. I mean, some of our coolest customers are doing like 700 separate signatures for each company they email every day. So say, Sigstr loves KPMG or whoever,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And in the world of ABM, personalization is what drives engagement, and that's like the bottom line, right? If you personalize it, and this is what we talked about earlier, right? If you can't show me that I care about your brand, why should I care about yours, right? That email you got where that person was saying it was a personal email and it wasn't, that's the exact opposite of personalization, right? If you can write an authentic, meaningful email to someone, it's going to get open. And if you can do the same thing with display advertising or whatever, email signature advertising, the same thing's going to happen. So we're basically, a super high volume ad channel that has 100% targeting accuracy.
Does anyone ever advertise on somebody else's email?
No, we don't let them do that. No. So you can only do, I've had conversations about it. Like, what if we were to resell to like a publisher?
Like a network?
We have not though. I think there's some
that'd be weird.
Private, like some rules people would not be too into. Yeah.
But one company has multiple emails for the same brand that they're emailing to. So it cycles through. So it's not just the same message. Back to the old days where, maybe some put it on there and then it's outdated after the webinar happens or something. But you have a series of emails.
Of ads. Yeah. So, it's like, it is
wow.
All built on logic, right? We have integrations with all the marketing automation platforms, right? So, one of the examples I give that kind of makes it click with people is what Sigstr and some of our customers do is we have stage-based campaigns, right?
Okay.
So because we know your email address, because you exist in our marketing automation platform or our CRM, we can identify exactly who you are, where you are.
You know who they are.
So when we're emailing a person at this account, it'll have like a generic, whatever white paper we're promoting at the time or whatever. But let's say you schedule a demo with us, right? Your opportunity stage in Salesforce is going to change to do demo scheduled. Sigstr hears that and says, oh, they need to see this banner now that says, we can't wait to show you Sigstr, right? And you go through it and it's like, here's what to expect. Once the demo is complete, the salesperson hits that demo complete button, changes their stage. Sigstr hears that and says, anytime someone emails them, the email is going to say, thanks for seeing the demo. Here's some resources for you to look at while you're considering Sigstr.
Right.
Everyone goes through IT, so we start targeting just the IT person with here's what you need to do to get Sigstr provisioned or whatever, and so on and so forth. So it's hyper targeted because we can, it's high volume. You own the channel, so you're not paying for media, and because it's based on an email address, you can segment any way you damn want.
Jeez. Is there a certain point, because you mentioned 100 employees, you got 1 million ad impressions. Is there a size that is kind of the sweet spot for this where, obviously if you have 10,000 employees, that's even better. But if you have 3, where do you see it just really starting to click?
I think I think for us, it really starts around the 50 employee mark is where we have, somewhere, we've got customers that have 10 employees, I think. But then we have customers that have, 200,000 employees. Right. It's one of those things that scales with volume for sure. The more employees you have, the more emails are going out.
To hire some people, get some more impressions.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Awesome, man. Well, this has been fun. I've been learning a bunch. Where can people connect with you? Where do you Twits, the Twitterland, the LinkedIn? Where do you want to connect?
I think my favorite place is Twitter for sure. So I'm at Justin Keller, one word. I am on LinkedIn as well. Connect with me there. Prove me wrong. I get lots of LinkedIn connections every day from people that are trying to like sell me something.
Oh man, I know. Like, oh, who's this random person connecting with me? Except, hey, I want to sell you. Oh,
Yeah, exactly. I deleted.
right. So say hi in the message. Say I heard you on the podcast.
Totally. I'm
Yeah,
more than happy to connect with anyone on there.
that's cool.
Yeah, but then if your first message to me is to try and sell me something, we'll
Go away. Yeah.
and then you can visit us at sigstr.com, Sigstr, no E in proper startup fashion.
Got it. Yeah. Proper cool name fashion. That's a straight up San Fran looking name right there in Indianapolis.
Exactly.
So sigstr.com. That's cool. Well, thanks, man. I super appreciate it. This has been fun hashing out these concepts.
No, this has been an awesome conversation. I can't thank you enough for letting me hang out with you and giving me this opportunity.
Absolutely, man. Next time I'm in the area, we'll have to have a little jam session.
I would love that. Hit me up. Drinks are on me. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do, dude. We'll do.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, take care. And for everyone listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.